On the next all-new episode of My Hero Academia.
Is this for real? It feels like a nightmare.
She was just on the radio. She was fine.
Wake up! Miss Midnight, please!
Can't be gone! Someone say this isn't happening.
Stop joking and open your eyes! This isn't funny! Get up and tell us what to do!
My Hero Academia. Next Saturday at midnight. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Every Saturday night at midnight, Adult Swim is building you a better cartoon show.
We call it Toonami.
And this Saturday night, one word can change everything. Don't miss our special sneak peek of Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Shazam!
We are at war.
Hey, policing!
Toonami, Saturday night from midnight to 3 a.m.
And don't miss Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Get tickets now.
The following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
It's Injustice for All on this episode of the Toonami Faithful Podcast. I am your host, Sketch, and with me I have...
Paul Biscrillo, the founder of ToonamiFaithful.com.
And...
editorial writer, LaserKid.
It's just the three old men this time because nobody else wanted to watch Injustice.
I mean, I didn't want to watch Injustice, but I knew I wanted to rip it apart.
No, I actually did want to watch Injustice because I thought, okay, maybe this is actually good, and I was wrong.
Oh boy.
But we'll get to that. We have some lineup news. Some rather intriguing lineup news. So following the 2 weeks of the DC films, which we will be discussing in this podcast, this upcoming week, Toonami will start off with back-to-back new episodes of My Hero Academia. And then at 1 a.m., they will be airing the One Piece Dragon Ball Toriko crossover episode.
My mind is
that has never,
blown.
Ever been released in the U.S. Allegedly, it's not even available on DVD in Japan.
Licensing.
This is quite a surprise. It is episode 590 in sequence. They skipped over it previously. Here's my running theory. They got this with their tapes for Punk Hazard. It probably was dubbed with Punk Hazard because Toei was guiding the dubbing process at that point. So they could have just been like, oh yeah, go ahead, dub that. We have all the rights. Why not? But they skipped it on the home video release in the US, probably because it is not available in Japan. And, they just kind of sat on it. But since it showed up with the tapes for Toonami, they skipped it just to prove that Toonami actually does pay attention to what's on their tapes. They skipped it, as they should, and played the next episode in sequence in the Punk Hazard arc. But they probably went back to Toei and said, hey, can we play this? Or do we just have this tape that we can't use? And Toei was like, yeah, go ahead.
It's entirely possible that they have the rights to air it, but not to release it.
Mm-hmm.
Entirely possible. Entirely possible. Yeah, it's definitely a whole rights mess, to be sure. But because of that delightful happenstance, Toonami actually gets to premiere something in the U.S., which is pretty much something that doesn't happen unless it's an original.
The last time something like this happened was Space Dandy.
Yeah, pretty much.
But honestly, my jaw was on the floor that we're getting this at all, period. And then, oh yeah, we dubbed it, and it's going on Toonami. What the? I just can't. It's hard to believe, but it's exciting.
Yeah, the day they post this on the schedule, it's like, oh, well, that's really? And then Toei puts out tweets and a press release is like, well, okay, this is really happening.
Yep.
Yeah, Toei's kind of making a little bit of a thing about it, which is fair. That's, it's never been shown before, so why not make some noise?
Absolutely.
I wonder how pissed Crunchyroll is.
Well, they still don't have that One Piece dub at all on Crunchyroll. So
now, I mean, keep in mind this is just one episode, but the fact that it's causing so much, like, oh my god, I need to watch this kind of thing going on.
Yeah, would make me think you might want to curb your expectations. It's not fantastic.
It's only exciting because it's been denied up till this point.
No, wait. I didn't say that it was a good episode. I didn't say that it was going to be the best thing that everybody's ever seen.
Well, of course not. You haven't seen it.
Right. So I'm just telling you, based on what I'm seeing on social media, a lot of people may watch this. So it's going to piss Crunchyroll off, probably.
I don't know that they'll care because they can't really. There's nothing they can really do about it. So
I mean,
if anything, they might be allowed to stream it subbed after the fact.
Well,
but maybe not.
I think that they can. I'm imagining after this happens, they're probably going to be like, so can we play this? Because we should be able to do this.
Well, theoretically, they have the rights to the One Piece dub, but they haven't been putting it up, and it's been almost a year.
Well, I mean,
offering the episode at all, is that's the big question. Will they be able to stream it in any capacity, Japanese or English? I mean, it's dubbed, so theoretically think that at least it would pop up on Funimation. But
it does, it just makes me sit there and laugh because it's like, anytime Toonami goes to Toei about something, they're like, yeah, sure, what do you want?
Well, yeah, Toei has long actually really had a focus on TV airing. They definitely prefer that to home video from what I've noticed.
And I feel bad for everybody that's going to watch this episode and go, who's that guy with the blue hair?
Well, the guy with the blue hair, who is also voiced by Ian Sinclair.
Yep.
Is Toriko, the lead character from the manga Toriko, which has an unfortunate history.
Yeah, in a lot, in multiple ways. But Toriko is a guy who goes and hunts rare animals to kill them and cook them and eat them and display them and gets rare delicacies and is a very good cook. So,
remember in Hunter x Hunter, there were like these hunters that went after like delicacy foods.
Yep. That's a great
It's
comparison.
Basically that, but it's the whole thing.
It's that crossed with Food Wars would be my comparison.
Yeah, there is a bit of Food Wars in there.
I mean, look, I understand that there's controversy with, the creator and such, and also the fact that this whole series didn't even get dubbed.
They dubbed about
47 episodes.
Yeah, they dubbed a good chunk of it, but it didn't do well here. It didn't even do well in Japan. It had to get replaced by Dragon Ball Z Kai, the Boo adventures for all things.
Now, could Toei continue dubbing it? Theoretically, but I don't think it's high on their priority list.
I just, for me, and I know you gentlemen are going to disagree with me, but I would love to I mean, you're gonna play this on screen. You got nothing else to play. It doesn't seem like Toriko's even a priority for anybody. I mean, why not just throw it on Toonami? Honestly.
I mean, at this point, I wouldn't actually mind. I just don't think it's going to happen. I
don't think it'll happen either, because I'm sure that it probably would have happened already if it was. And that's another thing too, is like, I don't remember when did Toriko get dubbed? When did the dub first start coming out? Do you guys remember?
Like 8 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So around that time, Toonami was doing pretty well.
Yeah, they could have played it, but they didn't.
So for me, it was one of those things where it's like, maybe if they had played it, maybe it would have done a lot better, because I don't even remember.
It's not a good show. It's not a good adaptation. If you really want to enjoy Toriko, get the Jump app and read the manga. Seriously.
Well, I never said it was a bad show, but there again, some things that are bad shows do well on Toonami, so just keep that in mind sometimes.
But
I don't know
well,
if it, I don't think
very good. So I mean, I don't know that it would be the best choice for Toonami, honestly.
Well, I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would ever play it. But there again, honestly,
they can get other things from Toei. Please get something else. Get World Trigger. Get freaking Dragon Quest Die already.
Yes,
I'm gonna.
There's a great choice.
I just want Toonami to get something different, because this is getting a little old very fast.
If they can get
so I don't even care if it's Toriko.
If they can get past their contract, I would love to see Sailor Moon again.
Oh, Sailor Moon's Toei, isn't it?
Technically Toei, but Viz has the master license.
That's true, but I mean that's still doable. We got Yashahime.
Well, I mean the sub is free on their YouTube page.
It's a case where they have, as far as I understand, they have a deal with Hulu for exclusivity, and I don't know how long that lasts.
Who knows?
That's anyone's guess.
But yes, I think,
of course, we're tired of the holding pattern, but
yeah,
it'll end eventually.
You know what's going to happen this week, right? We're going to have to insert something into this podcast, aren't we?
Breaking news: Toriko is
probably
on the Toonami block. Wait,
and you know what it's going to be is Sketch is going to come on here and be like, "God damn you, Paul! I hate you."
Oh.
I
mean, you were probably thinking.
Is I love the idea of it. The trailers Funimation made for Toriko are some of the best trailers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. I don't want to blow somebody. I don't want to blow a voice actor in here. Somebody that's worked on several of these Jump anime, if you get where I'm going with this, has said to me every time that I've seen them at a con, God, Toonami makes so much better promos for shows. I'm not going to blow insert person in. Maybe I did.
Toonami's great at promos. I'm not going to lie about that.
In fact, their promo for this is pretty dang good.
Amen.
And you know what? That's what I was going to mention too. Their promos for stuff lately have been, you get something like this and it's like, where was this for Fatal 5? What the fuck?
I thought the Fatal 5 promo was all right.
It was okay. The Injustice trailer was actually better than the Fatal 5 trailer.
Ironic, since when we were talking about the films.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But
obviously, they needed to make Injustice look better.
So I mean, something's gonna happen here. I mean,
also, way to spoil that another Superman shows up.
For about 5 seconds.
I mean, Injustice, multiple versions of Injustice, has Superman show up in the other form.
I mean,
so
that's part of the story, yes. Although, well, we'll get to it when we get to that.
So Sketch, be prepared to do breaking news into this podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Toriko is coming to Toonami.
Breaking news! Toriko has caught a Garawa Gator.
If I guess that, I'm going to be laughing.
I think they would at least, see how people react to the special before actually pursuing that. But I don't think it's going to lead to anything. Probably the only reason they bothered to dub this is because it has Dragon Ball characters in it.
It's Dragon Ball and One Piece in one place.
I can't.
Goku and Luffy competing over meat. How could you not want to see that?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you how many comments, because I put up the promo for the One Piece crossover special. I put that up. I can't tell you how many comments I hear about how this episode deludes Goku from what his real power is. I'm like, oh my god, this is getting annoying.
Like, first of all, this is pre-Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
And it's a silly gag episode. Chill out. It's fine. Yeah, it's a fun crossover. I think it'll be especially fun to watch dubbed because so many of the actors are double cast or triple cast, or there's like 4 Chris Sabbats running around.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a good time. Like super pumped for Vegeta and Zoro fighting.
Yes, that will be
super pumped for that.
Hilarious.
Good stuff there. And it should be fun. Though I will add the caveat, and I mentioned this in my article that I posted on ToonamiFaithful.com if you didn't read it. This is part
Shameless
2.
plug.
This is part 2 of a 1-hour special that was split between an episode of Toriko and an episode of One Piece.
Well, right. So if you can't play, you got to play Toriko so you can see the first half of this.
But they didn't dub that episode of Toriko, which is tough.
Well, guess what they need to do.
They didn't get
then?
anywhere near that close to that. Toriko was just.
Guess what they need to do then? They need to dub this episode.
Oh,
it was like 90 something.
Yeah.
I think it was officially the first episode of season 3. Yeah. Toei had multiple crossovers with One Piece and Toriko. Like, am I recalling correctly that the very first airing of Toriko was a crossover with One Piece?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Like, they were really trying to use the Straw Hats to prop up Toriko.
And the fact that they couldn't should tell you everything you need to know about Toriko.
So when Toonami's promoting this as history's strongest collaboration, I'm like, yeah, it's history's strongest collaboration. Oh, and Toriko's there too.
Yeah, pretty much.
I see other people like, why couldn't they like use Naruto? It's like different companies.
Yeah.
Yes, that would have made way more hype.
Yeah.
You'll have to settle for the video games in that case.
I would have rather we had the Food Wars in there instead of Toriko, but
Oh, well, that would have been really fun.
Oh, heck yeah, I would have loved to see it, but
totally nonsensical because that's like supposed to take place in like normal reality, even though not really.
Yeah, well,
some fictional version of the world where food is serious business.
Well, I mean, even given that, getting the world of One Piece with the world of Dragon Ball, you're already crossing dimensions at that point. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's all Shonen Jump, so but we're gonna deal with a different animation studio, so that's the real reason.
That's the other thing that I hear that I keep seeing in the comments is, where's Naruto? Where's Bleach?
Yeah, I brought this up. They could have used Bobobo, but it was way past Bobobo's day.
There's a beautiful piece of art where they got the Straw Hats crossover with Bobobo. It is one of my favorite pieces of art. It's hilarious.
That's fun.
Also, I can't chime in when you guys keep talking, so it's your fault.
We're talking about One Piece. Both of us are bouncing around.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, as a One Piece dub completionist, I'm very happy this is actually getting dubbed and being released in any legal capacity.
Amen.
And the fact that Toonami is getting to premiere it is pretty cool.
Heck yeah,
that's a nice treat. I mean, don't expect high art, but it's a good time. It's a good time, and Toriko's there too.
All right, time to tear apart Injustice. because it was an injustice to my eyes.
Yes.
Oh,
Once again, well,
Yeah, I went there.
Let us
That's
add
right.
one more caveat. We don't know what's going on with Toonami after the first week of March, and maybe we'll know by the time this podcast comes out.
Sketch is gonna have to do more work.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to get dragged into it because I'm usually awake when these things happen.
Mm-hmm. And I'm busy.
So, once again, Toonami has decided to treat us to a great DC animated movie that is an extension of the 90s DCA animated universe. And also a not so great adaptation of a DC story that already existed.
Hooray.
And the first up is Injustice.
Mm.
Oh boy. What if Superman was a bad guy?
Oh, what a wonderfully brilliant concept.
It's never been done before, ever, anywhere.
Well, well, it wasn't done in DC animated movie form, at least.
Oh, they did do Superman Red Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, but
and that's a much better movie too.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it, but I don't doubt that for a second. Because this is, I'm not sure if I dislike this more than Hush, but they're both pretty bad.
I did watch Hush, didn't I? Yeah.
And yet, as I was watching it, I didn't really hate the experience, other than the occasional moment where I was like, okay, this is just stupid.
I didn't hate it. I'm going to rip it a new one, but if I'm being completely honest, my honest opinion of this movie is meh.
That's a fair opinion.
So,
except they absolutely ruined Wonder Woman. Just totally ruined it.
That's the problem. That's a problem with source material. In fact, I would actually argue this movie does her better than the source, and that's ironic given everything else.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think they ruined Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman really didn't actually. So, obviously there's the video game Injustice. We've seen in the 90s version of Justice League, we saw that one episode. What was it? It was like 2 or 3 episodes where they did the cross, where they did basically
the Justice Lords, which is a much better version of this story.
It's the same story.
Version. It's exactly the same story, but that time it actually worked because they had the ability to actually write.
Well, and that
time when the Flash died, it actually mattered. Hi-ho.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and in the Injustice game, you know, that had a better story than this. And I'll be honest with you, walking into this, I'm thinking to myself, well, actually, let me back up. When I heard that this was coming out, I kind of went, okay, so this is going to be kind of like the video game where, you know, something happens, Superman basically snaps, and then
if you look at the large
Justice League
beats of the same story, there's just some focus issues and minor changes that are.
No, it's
mostly based on the comic.
Yeah, it's
was
bad.
A spin-off of the game.
It's a bad movie.
Oh, no question there. I'm not arguing that.
I mean, I don't listen. You can't have Injustice if you kill off most of the Justice League.
Oh yeah,
like
the
body count in this movie was ridiculous, and there was. Look, I joked about the Flash dying not mattering, but they made nothing of it.
No,
he dies almost immediately, and nobody says anything about it.
See, that's the thing that kills me about that first part was. Flash dying is a big problem, and what it does is it doesn't. It's not the reason Superman goes pissed off.
No,
that's the reason. That's the reason the rest of the Justice League goes pissed because Flash got killed. Superman got pissed because Joker killed Lois. So
and blew up Metropolis.
Yeah,
and blew up Metropolis. Well,
And
I mean, in
killed
this
his
movie,
unborn son.
in this movie, he did that, but not in Injustice. In Justice, he just killed Lois, and that pissed Superman
He doesn't
off to the
actually
point.
kill Joker in Injustice the game because
No.
Joker's playable.
No, but you
But
understand
this
what I'm saying.
time, Joker after round and found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was his point.
Oh, what a punchline!
Oh my god.
Well, see,
That was actually funny.
It was.
I kind of feel like they were trying to go for, and again, it's something that if you weren't paying attention that you saw, it seemed like Joker was sick. And
Joker is sick? What? Who would have imagined that?
And Joker, no, I mean like literally sick, where he's about to die, kind of thing.
I
And
didn't get that impression.
well,
I
he was
didn't get that
coughing. He
impression
was
either.
coughing a lot, though.
I don't think that's necessarily an indication of anything.
But Joker wanted to do something big, so it makes sense that something's going on to where
He wanted to
He
give
was trying.
Superman one really bad day.
Yes. It was pretty
Yeah.
clear. He's like, well, I can't get you, so I'm going to get somebody else. I mean, he says that to Superman, so it's like, or not
To
Superman,
Batman.
To
rather.
Batman.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so
he paid
his
for that
motivations are pretty obvious. They're pretty bare laid out. So if it had been, oh, I'm dying, Batman, so I wanted to do a thing, he would have said it.
Yeah, I don't think Joker would actually say anything about himself dying.
Well, no, he would have
No.
said something like, "I wanted one last fling," not necessarily that he's dying, but he would. There would have been something about.
Yeah, probably.
maybe. But I do think, like I said, I do think that something. I think Joker's did that for a reason, because
Well,
he knew
yes.
he was gonna die. He knew he was gonna die. He knew that was gonna happen. I mean, come on. You're gonna piss off Superman. You're gonna kill his.
Yeah, he
wife.
wanted to turn.
Yeah,
Superman
Joker's
evil.
not afraid to die. He's been trying to get Batman to kill him for years.
Yeah, and now he
Yeah.
decided to switch to Superman. That's literally all there is to it.
By the way, Harley Quinn was useless in this.
No,
Oh,
but she was part of the best part of the movie. Her and Plastic Man, the comedic relief.
But she was useless.
It was pretty fun. Her interactions with Green Arrow, who went out like
Yeah.
Oh, you know who else was useless?
Everyone in this movie except for Batman.
What was his name? It wasn't Nightwing anymore. It was like
Deadwing.
Deadwing,
Deadwing or
God.
something.
Oh God, the 90s.
Dick
edge.
Grayson. Dick Grayson dies because
we have
Damian throws something and he's like he always dodges. He always
I didn't mean
dodges.
to kill you, bro. Okay, I'm gonna take my moment here. This movie kills characters. It gets hyper violent, and it does nothing with it. It's pure shock value for the sake of being edgy, and it's not. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything.
And it doesn't make sense if you kill off most of the Justice League. Like, you can't have Injustice if you kill pretty much the whole Justice League. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
And a lot
It
of them
makes
just
no
like
fucking
peace
sense.
out.
I mean,
Oh, and by the way-
I agree that it's a bad idea for storytelling, but I mean, they managed to do the story. It's just bad.
By the way, at the end there, where he's like, where a different Lois from a different Earth
Oh, God.
shows up, that's pregnant, and he's like, "Okay, I can't do this anymore. I'll let you put me in a red sun room and whatever." And I'm sitting here going,
No.
"No,
Yeah, I have some major
No.
problems.
I think
with
his
that.
Superman is way too far gone for that.
If he's
Yeah.
not going to listen to literally himself, why would? There's no way that worked. No way at all. If he was well off enough to have that work, he would have at least listened to himself, if not himself. Wonder Woman at the end, any of these other characters. No, he's gone so far gone.
Not the younglings, Clark.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is now. If you wanted to get him, if they could have made this work and be like, to get him to hesitate for a moment, and then you club him over the head or something.
Yeah.
That could work.
He ain't giving himself up. Come on. That is literally the movie being like, okay, time to stop now.
Pretty
and
much,
that's the thing, like
it's Coop push the 5 minutes left in the episode button.
And that's the thing that also killed me was it's like Batman has contingencies. We've seen it in different animated movies. We've seen it in Justice League, the 90s show. Batman has a contingency plan for every single hero going rogue or turning evil, including Superman.
Yeah.
The fact
in Superman's case, it's literally called kryptonite.
But no. He also has the red sun. Well, in the case of Injustice, he has, he uses the red sun to stop him from, doing anything whatsoever, because really an enraged Superman, that's the only thing you can really fucking do at this point. But the point I'm trying to make is Batman doesn't do anything to Superman. Like,
you
dude,
could argue that he's like hoping that Superman comes around and
he
sees the error of his ways.
He does feel like he's feeling that way early on in the movie, but as the movie progresses, it gets less and less likely that that's what's going on, and it's just, okay, what are we doing with Batman? This movie, I'm going to say it, everything this movie is trying to do, Fatal 5 actually does successfully.
It failed. It fails
miserably.
It failed.
It's trying to be serious, but it comes off as like a teenager edgelord. Look at me, I'm serious, and you're just like, and I have to use the phrase, but I don't mean it in a derogatory way. It's comic book shit, and I don't mean that as obviously it's DC Comics, but it's like Saturday morning comics out of a newspaper comic shit. Oh, this character dies. Oh, this character dies. Oh, this character dies. Oh, that character dies. Oh, but we solve it with a heartwarming conversation. It's trying to be serious, but it doesn't know how to get emotional resonance out of anything. Nobody feels like they're being emotional. Nobody's reacting to these things logically. It's shock value after shock value with no logic put together, and it's really just kind of annoying to watch.
I think it just goes all over the place.
It does.
Like, it doesn't have and we'll get to Fatal 5, but like a movie like Fatal 5 has a clear, concise point A to point B.
Yep. It
goes from the beginning to the end. Nice climax in the middle, like it's supposed to, and then it's good. A lot of the what was it called? The New 52 movies. Did I say that right? Whatever.
That is correct. That is a term.
So all those movies pretty much did a good job. They weren't like, most of them weren't like stellar, like, oh my God, this is the best movie of, everything, but they at least did what they were supposed to do. It just seemed like somebody wrote this, stuck a bunch of ideas in it, and tried to execute all these ideas along from point A to point B. And you just have this really squiggly line going from these ideas.
You've given me an idea of what's going on here. I can describe what's wrong with this movie. This is a story of a kid playing with action figures, and then like, oh, well, this character dies.
Yes.
Just throw the action figure across the room. Mm-hmm. All right, these two action figures are fighting. Throw the action figure across the room. He's dead. But there's no plot. There's no character moments.
Exactly.
The only not none. There's one character that gets character moments, and his name is Plastic Man. And he is the joy of this movie because he is hilarious to watch. He reacts emotionally, logically to what's going on, but he's the only one.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing, though, is it's like, you killed Dick Grayson. You have this big important part where she gives him powers, and he only shows up like twice.
Yeah, he just really screws around.
Yeah. We make this big deal of this lady who gives him powers. We never see her again. We have no
Nope.
idea why she cares. We have no idea what
That has
she
nothing
is.
to do with the game.
And he does like
Yeah.
2 things.
And he does 2 things, neither of which are overly that important.
No.
Also,
And-
oh god, it was Ra's al Ghul all along. He's the real villain, you guys.
Gee, Damien, why'd you think it was a good idea to bring Ra's al Ghul in on Superman?
Yeah, this was
But-
a good idea.
But see, that's the thing. Like, again, we don't have like.
That man just keeps chemotherapy on him at all times, huh?
Well, and okay. I want to throw some.
That was the most hardcore death.
Oh my gosh.
What's
Man,
that?
I can't believe they took the Atom out like that.
Yeah, I do want to make a point here. I liked that when we first had Ra's al Ghul show up, Superman's just like, "Oh hell no, I'm not dealing with that asshole." That if they had kept that line, it would have been actually a lot more interesting. But then he's just like, "Oh well, okay, join me then. Okay, fine." And then Ra's al Ghul's, unsurprising to literally
I wanted
anyone,
to fix Gotham.
yeah, sure he did. And when the totally unforeseeable betrayal from Ra's al Ghul occurs, you want Superman to switch? That would have been the time to make it work and make it make sense. Like, oh, that was me. I was him, and he betrayed me because he's actually there, and I'm not. You want to have Superman realize his mistake? That would have been the moment. The people who...
But they don't do that.
They don't do that. In fact, once that's all done, he immediately goes, I want to arrest all of you terrorists. And like nothing happened. All of the events that just occurred, we just set up, we have a narrative thread, and it was completely irrelevant. It literally went nowhere.
Well, and then, but let's go back a little bit. Superman just like kills a bunch of teenage kids that are dressed up as the Joker.
Yep. I have
and then,
major problems with that.
Well,
even
but
if you take Superman's gone authoritarian, right? Superman has gone dark. He's authoritarian. He's if you fight and cross him, he's gonna kill you. I don't even think Injustice Superman from the game would have done that shit. That is not Clark Kent, even an evil one.
Well, but see, here's
he
the
might
thing,
arrest
like,
them, which would still be unjust, but
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that he kills all those kids, and yet still Batman doesn't pull a trigger on whatever failsafe he has if Superman goes fucking insane. Like,
and it happened in Gotham, so you make a point.
And it happened in Gotham,
well,
so
again,
it's like
events occur, and it's like it's just like the characters just don't react. The events are all the events do is push the plot, and the characters are just walking along a plot and don't really react to it. They just do what the plot tells them to. I
honestly think what they should do, and this is just my opinion. This is just my fucking opinion. I think they should take that it was 2 or 3 episodes of the 90s Justice League. Take that, expand that into an Injustice-like movie. Obviously, with whatever version you want to do it with.
Yeah, Justice Lords was a good story. I
think that would be great.
Yeah.
I think that would be great. Or even turn it into a mini series. Like that right there would be great. You obviously can't do because Kevin Conroy's dead now, so you can't really do Batman like you did. So it would have to be probably a whole new cast. But I mean, you could even use the new 52 voice actors and do it. Like it makes sense to have done it that way, not the way that they did it. Again, Batman has fail
kind
safes.
Of a rehash if you did it now.
Yeah, that would be the only thing I'd say. I mean, I'd be okay with it, but those.
Well, you don't have to do it right now. I mean, literally, the movie just came out. I'm talking about in a couple years, do it.
Well,
by the way,
the episodes already exist. You could just go watch it.
It came out in 2021.
Yeah, but keep in mind that a lot of people don't go back and watch these older shows. I wish these younger kids would do it. My son does. Like my son watches he's into some of the older cartoons more than he is in some of the newer ones. Like, but kids don't do that. They're all like, "Oh, let me watch YouTube. Let me watch this stupid ass show right here." Like, they don't do that. So you could actually do that yeah, people our age would be like, hey, didn't they do this in Justice League already? But people that are new to it would be like, oh, this is awesome. Oh, maybe I should go back and watch the 90s Justice League and whatever. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, this was just a terrible movie. I just, it was so all over the place, and it hurt my brain because the more that I thought about it, the more I was like, why did I waste my time with this?
It is just some edgelord nonsense. And I appreciate that the Primal Theory episode of Primal aired right after it, so you could juxtapose what actually using graphic, visceral imagery can accomplish.
Well, speaking about doing something serious and making it good, I think we should switch to the good movie.
Yes, let us move on to Justice League versus the Fatal Five, which is a great reunion for various members of the Justice League cast. Of course, we have Kevin Conroy, we got George Newbern back as Superman, and of course, Susan Eisenberg back as Wonder Woman.
I remember when this movie first came out, I specifically watched it because it was part of the DC animated universe. I was so excited to see that back. And there are certain moments that just immediately got tear to my eye. Like, they did a sting with the Justice League Unlimited theme, and I'm just like, yeah! But there's more to it than just that nostalgia. Nostalgia certainly served up for you if you want it. But this movie does a lot of interesting, unique things.
I would agree. It is, I would say, a Justice League story that they probably couldn't have told effectively back in 2000. There would just be too many limitations. And I'm not saying that because they occasionally swear and it gets a bit violent. They're dealing with some topics that they just would not have covered in a kids show.
It deals with some very serious topics, and this is why I juxtapose it with Injustice. Injustice says it's dealing with serious topics, but then doesn't really deal with them. It just throws them against the wall and doesn't do anything. We actually let these things happen here, and then we ruminate on it, and we let our characters react to it and do things. This is how you do serious storytelling and let it actually work.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
As would I.
And it also manages to balance the serious with plenty of levity.
Yes. Now, I gave Injustice some credit for Plastic Man being funny, but it was a very minor part of that movie. And here, we have a good balance. Mm-hmm. Including a naked man trying to steal some medication.
Yeah, that was...
Oh, right. This is the past, so you're scared of the costume.
I'll take it off. It's fine.
That's not the problem,
no, sir. No, stop.
Sir, can you please put the suit back on, sir? Sir. Wait, why are you pushing me with gravity, sir? Sir. And then Batman just comes up, smacks him once, and then uses gas to knock him out.
This is funny. But it also works on because it's funny, but it's also serious because he needs that medication.
Well,
and
you know what's funny? You know what was funny is him having a friendship with Two-Face.
I love that.
I did like that. That Two-Face was like his big brother.
Yeah, that was
Arkham.
hilarious.
I love it. It's just like, yeah, you think you're two people. I think I'm from the future.
Eaten for two. Apparently Bruce Timm's Two-Face in this.
By the way, I find it weird that they're called the Legion of Justice.
The Legion of Superheroes.
So the Legion of Superheroes has to go into the past to trap the two of these Fatal Five in with the Green Lanterns.
Yeah, because the Green Lanterns no longer exist in the future.
Which I have questions.
I also have questions.
Yeah,
I
have questions.
I'm going to sum it up as it just works.
To me, it feels like it's heavily implied if time travel hadn't gone the way it did, that the normal course of events, that would have been this story would have been the end of the Green Lantern Corps. I think this changed things. That's the feel I get from it.
Probably.
Perhaps.
And I love how they just keep adding Green Lanterns to Earth Sector. They're like, oh yeah, John Stewart's often doing this, but you're the new Green Lantern.
Yeah, Hal
I'm
Jordan's
just like,
busy. Let's give it to Kyle Rayner. Okay, Kyle Rayner, let's do John Stewart. Hey, John Stewart, you. Now, I will say I love her. I love this character because we see her very early on dealing with some very serious situations where her friends are murdered right in front of her. She is nearly murdered. Not sure the way we see it is a dream where she's having serious PTSD about it. But man, what a way to introduce a character and her struggling with just getting out of bed, dealing with life. But by the way, she's also a Green Lantern, so she's also got to deal with the superhero stuff too.
Yeah, I was like, she's at her therapist, and all of a sudden the Green Lantern ring is going off. Like, oh yeah, I got to go to work. It's like, okay,
security, was it? I don't know if that's such a good gig for you.
I
kind of didn't pick it.
I don't mind that she's the Green Lantern. I don't mind that, she went through this traumatic thing, but I'm sitting here thinking to myself, yeah, but how did she get the ring? Like, what happened to where the ring just showed up and, oh, here you are, here's the ring? No.
I kind of don't mind that they felt the need to, that they didn't feel the need to, explain that or show how it happened. Because, for all we know, she got the ring like right after she fell. But
I mean, that was the thought that I had, is she probably was falling in the ring. Obviously the ring came to her and then she became the Green Lantern.
Possibly.
That's what I
make
got.
A lot of sense, because how else would she survive that?
Exactly.
No, that actually makes a lot of sense.
So they certainly could have shown that, but I don't think it was absolutely necessary.
No, but I will say that Jessica Cruz is a very interesting character in this movie, and I quite like her.
She's also really skilled with that ring. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
She makes some amazing constructs. Like, she totally owns the bad guys on her own at the end there. Which is pretty rad. And I like that, though this does, reunite some classic members that we're familiar with the Justice League. I really appreciate that Mr. Terrific is around. I think he's a great addition.
Mr. Terrific,
and
what's
terrific.
Yes, and Miss Martian, this version of Miss Martian is great. I really would like to see more with her.
I would as well.
I find it funny, though, that both movies had him in it.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Terrific has been used more often these days, probably because he's
terrific.
Yeah, but also so that they can diversify.
I can see that.
Yeah, but
I will
you know
say
what?
That this movie actually does a good job of having a diverse cast without going, hey, everyone, we have a diverse cast.
Yeah, but I have to say, though, I kind of like him, and I don't understand why they haven't used him more.
I don't know either.
He's a great character, but unless you happen to be a fan of Justice League Unlimited, he's not as well known.
I mean,
it's changing. It's changing, but
he's been used pretty often lately.
Yeah,
but yeah.
You want
I think it's more along the lines of his primary reason to be around is to be the smart guy who's got all the gadgets, and other times they have
I want more of that.
They have other members of the Justice League to fill that role,
but.
I
want to team him up with the Question, guys. That's what I want.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be really fun. always love the Question.
That's the other guy I want to see more of. Is the Question. I love that guy. But that was one of the things that Justice League Unlimited did really well. Is introduce us to a lot of C-list characters, and some of them have been elevated since then. And I'd say Mr. Terrific is one of them.
Yeah, I would agree. Since Miss Martian is such an important character in Young Justice, it's just kind of interesting to have this different version of her, who's also really fun around Batman, because Batman's like, why they always got me training teenagers?
Yeah.
And then she turns into Robin. That was hilarious.
That was pretty
point
great.
Taken. All the way, Batman sassing all the way to the end.
Oh God!
Well, I didn't say how I voted. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you have her join the Justice League? You can't have her uncle around all the time.
As evidence, because he's not here.
Because she has to be part of Young Justice.
Well, they don't really have Young Justice in the DCAU.
I would love to see them try.
It is. We're just gonna go with it, okay?
Yeah, I guess so. Oh yeah, I think Jessica Cruz is a great character. I'd love to see more of her. Diane Guerrero was fantastic. You may have seen her in the other DC series, Doom Patrol. And Thomas Keller, Starboy, was voiced by Ellis Gable. He's the main guy on Scorpion. And is that Scorpion or Scorpio? It's a live action TV show. Scorpion. Yeah, Scorpion. Walter O'Brien on Scorpion. And it's pretty common that the DCAU pulls actors that don't normally do animation. So that's good. And Daniela Bobadilla as Miss Martian. She was Charlie Sheen's daughter in Anger Management. That show with Charlie Sheen, Anger Management. So excellent additions. Starboy is an interesting character. I think they did a pretty good job of representing a character that quite frankly has a lot going on in his head, and it's all very confusing to him.
Yes.
And I think that is something else that they just wouldn't have done in the DCAU back in the 90s and the 2000s. They just wouldn't cover a character like that. They are dabbling into characters like that in Young Justice, but at this point, Young Justice is kind of more of an all audience show intended for not just kids.
Yeah.
So I'm not too surprised that they're delving into those kinds of topics. And likewise, this is, obviously not intended for kids. It's PG-13. But
the read I had on Fatal 5 when it came out is this was for people who grew up with Justice League, but are adults now.
Yeah. And it's really a tragic story for Starboy, because he knows that he can't take his meds, and it's already too late to take them. So in the end, he makes the sacrifice play because he's the only one who can put the sun back together.
God, I actually teared up a little bit when he goes out, and that's the difference between Injustice and Fatal 5. When we have a serious death in Fatal 5, it's emotionally impacting. When you kill characters left and right in Injustice, it's just kind of like shrug.
No, it's like really again you killed somebody off again.
Well, I mean,
really, you killed off Cyborg, who is probably the one person that you shouldn't kill off. Really, okay, just keep moving on.
I feel like this movie informs a lot of my criticism of Injustice because it does everything right.
Mm-hmm.
We give the serious moments the weight they deserve and the impact they deserve. And oh god, the funeral at the end of this movie. Oh, chef's kiss. Great way to send off the character. Great way to close off the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's overall a very, very good movie.
Absolutely.
Nicely animated, very well acted, good story. If you haven't watched it, you really should.
And rest in peace, Kevin Conroy.
Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, it's easier to maybe make to kind of notice these things, or you might even be overthinking it in this case, but something about his performance in this movie, I kind of got the impression that he was not well.
Okay, so it wasn't just I wasn't even gonna say that, but I totally felt the same thing when I was watching it. Like, it felt like he was struggling a little bit, not like massively, but like it felt like there was something off a little bit. Like there was less energy would be the way I'd call it, maybe.
Perhaps.
And we both might be just reading too much into it because of, current day knowledge. That very well could be, but I did get a similar feeling.
Yeah. I don't think I really picked up on that the first time I saw the movie.
Oh, I didn't either. I totally didn't.
But paying more attention to it this time, yeah, you kind of feel it even more so than this wasn't recorded that long after the Justice League Action series had wrapped up, and he actually sounded as good as ever in that series, I think. So, that might have been a turning point. Hard to say.
I'd still say sounds good here, but there is something a little off.
Yeah. And this is apparently the last DC animated thing he recorded for. There were some other things that came out the same year that aren't really DC animated things, like he was in an episode of Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, and
that show's great.
Yeah. And of course he's done some video games since. I think I heard that his last recording will be for what was it? The Suicide Squad game.
Yeah, he's in the Suicide Squad game. There was something else I was wondering about, because I know they were talking about, and I don't know if they ever did anything with it, but doing something audio-wise with like Batman, like the animated series. But I don't know if they ever did anything with that.
Yeah, I think they...
Am I wrong about that? Because I thought I know they announced that they were going to do more with Batman the animated series, but then it was like an audio thing.
Yeah, there is a audio series that came out recently, but Kevin Conroy is not Batman. And I think like there was a time when both that and they were talking about continuing the animated series as animation, but I think both of those just kind of diverged to their own things, and the animated series became the Caped Crusader. At least I think so.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But there might be something else out there. Who knows? But
it's possible. I'm sure if it exists, we'll get it at some point or another.
Yep.
I mean, we just got an unearthed track from Linkin Park from like 2003.
Yeah.
Good track. The music video is also pretty good, except it uses anime AI filter, which is gross. It juxtaposes that with like actual animation, which is unfortunate because the actual animation looks pretty good. Regardless, it's a solid track. Yeah. I'm sure there are people of two minds regarding whether or not this should be the very last DCAU continuity animated thing with voice acting. I kind of feel like there's great opportunity here for more Miss Martian and more Jessica Cruz. And I would like to see these versions of these characters come back. If it only has to be in comic form, I suppose that's just the way it goes. But it's tricky with the DCAU because Batman has always been such a integral part of it. He's the heart of the DCAU.
I mean, I think part of the problem is Warner Brothers has had this issue, at least in my opinion, finding a definitive voice to replace Kevin Conroy. Now, especially that he has died, it's even more of a kind of thing of, hey, maybe we need to go find somebody that can do this. And I'm not talking about like, okay, you need to do Kevin Conroy's voice. No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like getting somebody that you're confident that this guy, or if some woman can do Batman's and Bruce Wayne's voice great, go ahead. We've seen it happen before.
Well, I would say Jensen Ackles from The Long Halloween would be my choice to replace because he did an amazing job.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't like him at first, but oh god, what was his name? He was Batman the New 52.
Jason O'Mara.
Jason O'Mara actually grew on me. He was really good.
Pretty good.
He did a pretty good Batman, but then there was also I can't remember. I think he was in at least the first season, and maybe even other seasons of Young Justice. I haven't seen all of them, obviously, but
yeah, Bruce Greenwood.
Bruce Greenwood, even though he's been in a lot of movies, not like animated movies, you know what I mean. I think he would be a good Batman too. Like I honestly think there's a couple people out there, if Warner Brothers would be consistent about it.
Yeah, I agree.
They could pick somebody really
that's
good.
The problem is there are a lot of people who I think could actually pull it off. And I think we've pretty much named the top choices, but they'd have to go with one and then settle with it and let it go and make that the new Kevin Conroy, or not that you could replace him, but you need a new Batman.
And you did some movies with what was his name? The original Batman in the TV series. Played the mayor in Family Guy.
Adam West.
Adam West. I don't know why that didn't come off of my can't. Oh, I'm tired. It's been a long week. You have some Batmans out there that played in the live action. I'm not saying you have to tap one of these people, but guess what? You got my boy Michael Keaton, which is my Batman.
That was my first Batman too. Well, technically Adam West was, but
which, by the way, oh my God! Speaking of Batman, holy shit! Now I understand why they didn't want to cancel the Flash movie. That Batman, you got him available. The dude's not getting any younger. You could use him as Batman in animated shows. And there's people my age that would love that. That would love to hear him. You know what I mean? So you have these possibilities. Hell, if Ben Affleck wanted to do it, he could do it. You have Christian Bale. If Christian Bale wanted to do it, there's options. But again, I think the problem because you can pick anybody for Superman. You can pick anybody for Wonder Woman. Maybe not Harley Quinn, because Harley Quinn had a really good voice actor. Same thing with Joker. Joker is kind of like Batman. You got to do the same thing with Joker. You got to find somebody.
I don't know how I feel about the Joker in Injustice. Yeah. Why didn't they just have Richard Epcar do it?
Seriously.
I don't think Richard Epcar's a great Joker per se, but at least it matches the Injustice. Like, they didn't have anybody from the games reprise like hardly at all, which is strange. You know, Jillian Jacobs was a surprisingly good Harley Quinn.
Yes,
but as Britta from Community.
But you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you can find a Batman, you can build a cast around that. But you got to have a Batman, and we don't have a Batman now. So I think Warner Brothers has got to work on that. You know?
Sure, there's something they're thinking about. Also, kind of interesting casting is in Injustice, Justin Hartley played Superman. Justin Hartley was Aquaman on Smallville. He's done plenty of things since, but I just find that amusing.
Yeah.
And the Batman in that one was Anson Mount, who was Black Bolt in the MCU. He didn't get to talk much in in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
And by the way, I bring this up every time we play a DC movie, but you know, if you can play this DC stuff, it's not costing you any money to do it. Why the fuck hasn't Young Justice played on Toonami?
Now we can't assume that, Paul.
I would assume that just because they weren't giving Toonami money anyway. So do you honestly think that they would just let them, that they would be like, oh yeah, by the way, you can do like you did in the past and pay for these movies? No, I don't think so.
More often than not, the movies kind of show up because Warner has something they want to promote.
Yeah,
that
too.
Wasn't really the case this time, though. They did have plenty of opportunities to run the Shazam trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
saw that quite a few times, which only makes sense.
Yeah.
Frankly, I will be surprised if they don't run Superman, Shazam, Black Adam short from that.
They could play the first episode, I think, or not the first episode, the first Justice League 52 movie, Justice League War. They could play that movie because Shazam is in that movie. So I would not be surprised if that shows up.
He features prominently too. Unlike in Injustice, where he was basically a cameo.
Yeah.
Look, I gotta rag on Injustice some more because there's so many playable characters in Injustice, and almost none of them showed up in that movie.
Yeah.
Whereas they included a bunch of characters that were not playable in the game.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Very strange choices. And I don't even know what they were doing with Dick Grayson. It was absolute nonsense.
That was so weird.
It made no sense. Like
it really didn't.
Like, why can't you play as Plastic Man in Injustice? That would be so much fun.
That would be amazing. Yes, DLC that stuff.
They've had 2 games and DLC, and you still can't play as Plastic Man. Maybe in the third one.
Maybe they will.
Ever is one. I saw Ed Boon kind of joking about a third Injustice.
Oof.
I wonder why he would do that.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm all for more Steve Bloom as Green Lantern.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is good.
You forgot about that, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't really think about it. My preferred Hal Jordan voice is Josh Keaton. Or
listen.
Gosh, what's his name? Nathan Fillion. Yeah.
You listen here, okay? You listen here, okay? Anytime that Steve Bloom voices a character. It's awesome.
We've never really had Steve Blum try Batman. I would like to hear that.
That could be really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, he's done Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Not to be a downer and all, but we keep mentioning that Kevin Conroy passed away, but we have another legacy Toonami voice actor who has passed away recently. The voice and character model for Goat in Megas XLR, Scott Goat Reinecker, has passed away, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up in lots of Titmouse shows, everything from Downtown to Megas XLR to even Disney's Motor City, which is a great show and more people need to watch it.
Which, by the way, if you're licensing Motor City out, maybe Toonami should play that. Just saying, Disney, you can just license that out. It'll be fine. Because remember, at one point they did want to play that.
Oh, of course they did.
So
it's like the spiritual successor to Megas.
You know, it's funny because I love how Disney wants, like, all these streamers were like, oh yeah, everybody, you know, we're making a lot of money, and now they're like, no, we need to license all this out. So it would be really funny if all of a sudden a Star Wars animated series showed up on Toonami again.
Look, I would love for What If and The Bad Batch to show up on Toonami. That would be fantastic.
That would be great.
It's not going to happen.
No. Disney's holding those way too close.
It would be great.
Oh, they would charge so much money for that. It's not even funny.
I mean, I would
play Star Wars Visions on Toonami. That would be sick.
Heck, finish Clone Wars. We never got those last couple seasons.
That's true. That's true.
And also,
it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. I could go on because there's the
oh, I'm sure you could.
The animated side of Star Wars is A+.
I'm just happy the Mandalorian's back.
Heck yeah.
Good stuff.
That would just be so funny to see, like, the Disney logo show up at the end of the show.
That would be so bizarre. But I'd be for it. I'd be all for it.
Wouldn't be the first time Disney something aired on the Cartoon Network.
It is funny because there have been some experts that have been predicting that this was going to happen, where streaming was going to kind of have a little bit of a downturn because they're not making money.
No, they're not making money.
You're going to start to see these movies that are supposed to be quote unquote for streaming services actually go back into theaters now.
Well,
so
a lot of what's going to happen is it's going to go back to the previous model where there's like one or two of them rather than a million of them.
Mm-hmm. Because they're not making money.
Well, you can't split up that market like that. That's the problem.
Like, Disney's probably the only one that is remotely making something, because they've done the smart thing of being like, hey, let's bundle 3 things into one. That's I mean, everybody pretty much has that. If you don't, you're an idiot at this point. Like,
well, unless you don't want one of them. Like, I don't want the ESPN
but like,
one.
I mean, I even see ads now that they're just, you can do all 3, or you can do, like, for $10 you can get Hulu and Disney Plus.
That's not a bad deal. That's
not a bad deal.
It's a good deal.
That's not a bad deal at all. Like, Disney gets it. Like, maybe they should charge a little bit more, but they get it. Like,
meanwhile, Warner Brothers Discovery is all like, yeah, actually, Discovery Plus is going to stay separate.
Oh, we need to talk about while we're talking about that, by the way, we need to talk about the fact that they're suing. HBO Max is suing.
That is a juicy thing, I gotta say. I am not at all surprised. I really am not, because
what's going on?
That was totally Viacom.
Oh, you didn't hear about this, Laser?
I did not.
That was totally Viacom.
So
having their cake and eating it too.
So what happened was, if you noticed, when HBO Max launched, they had South Park.
Yes, I knew about that, and I know that Viacom really wanted it back.
So what Viacom has been doing is they've been slowly moving back on the rights that they signed.
Yep.
For HBO Max, and because of that, HBO Max, which is probably well within their rights to sue, is suing them now because they've, I think, what was it, like
breach
50 something million? I think it was like 550 million or something. I'd have to look it up.
I think the initial deal was for 500 million, and
damn,
what the agreement was for was the entire backlog plus the next 3 seasons, which were expected to be 10 episodes each. They only delivered 2 episodes in season 24. They were both hour-long specials. And now they're saying they're only deliver 6 episodes for the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, and meanwhile, they're making all those movies for Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Yep.
They can't call them movies because Bigger, Longer, and Uncut stipulates that Warner Brothers has to be involved in any decision for a South Park movie.
Yeah, but
isn't that fun?
So basically,
they call them events. They are. They're very entertaining. South Park is constantly entertaining.
Oh yes,
but they are.
We got to worry about the pee-pee.
They are totally diverting what should be coming to HBO Max and making it into streaming events.
Absolutely agreed, and actually, I completely agree with you, Paul. Honestly, HBO Max is well within their rights to sue.
However, supposedly, Warner Brothers Discovery has not paid what they owe for everything yet. And they have not paid for some episodes that have already been delivered, which is probably going to hurt their case a lot.
Yeah, actually, at that point, this is a very muddy road. It's like, well, you didn't pay them, so you broke the contract first.
Well, but here's the thing. Did they pay for everything that they have right now? If they did,
that is allegedly not the case.
Really? So I guess the question is,
they haven't paid for everything.
And if that is the case, then they would be the ones who broke the contract first, in which case,
well,
yikes.
but see, here's the thing. If they got wind that this was going to happen where they're not going to get these episodes, they probably are well within their rights not to have to pay everything up front. And it probably does. And it probably does stipulate in the contract that it doesn't have to be all up front either. They just have to pay it by a certain date. Because as much as I would love to sit here and say that Warner Media did something stupid, their lawyers are really good. I don't think that they would make the stupid mistake of being like, oh, well, we're not going to pay you all this money. I could be wrong. I would say the same thing about Viacom, honestly. So, question. Well, Viacom is probably fucked at this point. So, I
could see this going.
They're both not doing great, but this is juicy.
Yeah,
and people are like, "Oh, they should totally make an episode about this." It's like they already have. It's called the Streaming Wars.
Yep.
They basically covered this already, as if they knew.
Oh yeah,
they knew.
But it's been funny to me though, because it seems like Warner Media and Paramount have this really good relationship, and I only say that because South Park showed up, but the Star Trek movies that are really popular, besides I think the new ones, which is a separate contract, are all on HBO Max.
Yeah, they used to all be on Paramount. They pulled them off.
Yeah, because they gave them the rights, and it's like Paramount has not been very smart in some of these things that they have. Like, I was almost waiting for them to like send all their TV series over to them. Luckily, they've kept them because they put Deep Space Nine up on its own Star Trek channel, so on Pluto. So I'm assuming that's why they've taken all their Star Trek series off of Hulu and Netflix.
Well, they took them all there because they're all on Paramount Plus. They want you to go to Paramount Plus.
Right.
That's been totally a hey, come pay us to watch Star Trek.
Well, right, but here's the problem with that. Why then send the movies to a different streaming service? Doesn't make sense.
Because they own it.
No, because they're idiots.
They own Pluto TV.
No. I'm talking about why would you send? I can't remember how many Star Trek movies.
You mean the Trek movies?
Yeah.
Well, the Trek movies are a little more complicated than the TV shows. But yeah.
You can see that by the Picard series. I know we're veering off of Toonami a lot now.
Well, you and I are Trek dorks, so you know.
Well, but that's the reason. I don't know if you knew this, Laser, but that's the reason why you don't see the Enterprise E in Star Trek Picard, because they can't use it.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know that until this last season, because it's in the movie. It's only allowed to be in the movies, and I'm like, that is fucking stupid. I'm like,
I actually didn't
that
mind
is so
because honestly, the Titan makes more sense in that situation. But
oh no! I didn't care about that. I'm talking about at least having the Enterprise E make an appearance. It doesn't make any appearance in the series.
I would rather they make a new one at this point. Enterprise E is...
there supposedly is a new one that shows up somewhere, probably towards the end of this series, but we'll see.
Yeah, because, I mean, the Enterprise E is designed literally from the 90s. I'd love to see a new one at this point.
Yeah. All right, well, I think we've mined this.
Yeah, I think you and I have gone off the Star Trek a little too far here.
Yeah, but I do look forward to seeing the results of that lawsuit, because it's I'm just getting the popcorn out at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Somebody in the comments was like, "This is what the let them fight meme is for."
Yes.
Yeah. Other people are responding like, "Oh, Warner is broke." If they're going after Viacom for this, like, I think they rightfully saw they were getting screwed, because as soon as that
is fucked up what they were doing. I
deal was announced with Paramount Plus, it was like that sounds not above board. Streaming movies, you say? And it's the biggest thing is some of them are arguably not in continuity, but some of them are in continuity. You have to see those episodes, or you don't know what's going on in South Park.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's not like you can just avoid those and not. So yeah, they double dipping.
Oh yes.
As was previously described in the Streaming Wars episodes.
All right.
Yeah. But watch Justice League Fatal 5. It's good. Don't watch Injustice. We watched it for you.
And that is the perfect summation of this podcast.
Play the game. And look forward to some wacky One Piece Dragon Ball crossover, and Toriko's also there.
And Toriko's like, hey, I'm here too.
And look forward to Sketch having to put breaking news in this podcast.
I mean, I hope so. If we don't get any news by like Thursday, I'm not going to bother. But if there is something by then, yeah. Because they really should have said something last Friday. But look, people want me to get all up on, so like, it's bad. Toonami doesn't have anything. It's like I'm just not that worried, guys. It's gonna be fine.
They've got stuff in the works, but the way these contracts work these days, it seems like they can't really talk about it until it's like right on them.
Oh yeah, you know they're gonna play Attack on Titan, and you know that Crunchyroll is not gonna let them say anything about it until Crunchyroll can announce that they're streaming it. You know.
Oh yeah.
That's the way it works. Like, geez, they made them wait an extra like month for My Hero Academia, though they're pretty much caught up. Well, no, they're not, because they took a week off and then they released 2 dub episodes this past week. So the gap has not lessened so much, even though Toonami will be airing 2 episodes soon, and who knows, they might do it more than once. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. And hopefully we get some good news soon that maybe was later put into this podcast. We're willing that into existence.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Okay, Paul, do the usual.
All right. So, let's see. So, Toonami Faithful Podcast, you can find that on pretty much every single podcast app that's out there. Just simply by searching for Toonami Faithful Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If we are not on your podcast app, please do let us know, and we will try to get on there. But for those of you that are looking for an app to listen to us on, we encourage you to use Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Spotify. But the one that we definitely want you to use is SoundCloud. SoundCloud.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast is where every single episode is. But there's also the SoundCloud app. So if you download that, you can listen to us for free on there. So that is different. That is definitely another way that you can listen to every single episode of this podcast from episode 1 all the way up to this episode. And yeah, you should do that. What else? You can email us, podcast@ToonamiFaithful.com. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any feedback. Let us know if you want us to talk about something on the podcast. We're more than welcome to do that at some point. So please do let us know. And of course, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast. And you can follow us on Twitter @Toonami Podcast as well. And last but not least, if you want to donate to the podcast, the website, both, whatever, you can go to ToonamiFaithful.com/donate. There are several different ways to donate, including our Patreon, patreon.com/Toonami Faithful. That has several different pieces of content on there that are only on Patreon and you can only hear there. I'm hoping to add some more stuff to it later on, so please do keep contributing, and thank you to those that continue to contribute on a monthly basis. It is very appreciative. But you can also do a one-time payment to us through PayPal. There's a PayPal link on there. And if you like buying anime and you want to buy some anime, you can use our Right Stuff link. Clicking on that, buying something will give us a portion of whatever you purchase. And again, that goes to help fund the podcast website and everything as well. So, but yeah, let's get on out of here. Laser, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter @LaserKid Prime, and you can find me on several of V-Lord's podcasts, the V-Lord Podcast Universe, as I like to joke, including the Demon Slayer podcast and the Dumb Weed podcast.
And Sketch, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter @Sketch1984. And you can read my occasional articles on ToonamiFaithful.com. I recently did a review for the most recent Sword Art Online theatrical movie. Give it a read. And
give it a whirl.
Yeah. And you can find out more about that One Piece Dragon Ball Toriko crossover by reading my article about that. And I have some other articles that I am thinking about doing in the near future. So, yeah, look forward to those. And Paul, where can they find you?
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter @Paul Pascrillo. You can email me, paulpascrillo@ToonamiFaithful.com. And now that we've done an episode finally after 6 months, you can hear me on the Two Strangers One podcast as well. Literally came out tonight, so you can hear that podcast by searching Two Strangers One podcast, or you can go on Twitter at Two Strangers. Oh, I'm sorry, at Stranger Podcast. So, yeah.
Oh, what did you guys talk about?
Stuff, things.
Stuff and things.
Stuff, things, nerdy things.
Those are good things to talk about.
Nerdy things.
Nerdy things. You know how Chris is. I don't really need to go into detail how Chris is.
It
can be a little crazy what Chris talks about on that podcast. So,
and as for upcoming discussions for this podcast, well, we are due to talk about the finale of Made in Abyss. We'll probably record that pretty soon. We've had some difficulty coordinating that. There are some other things that I'm probably going to keep under wraps, but don't expect a Yashahime conversation anytime soon because we got some catch up to do on that one. But we should be doing a My Hero discussion pretty soon because it has been an eventful season thus far, to be sure.
And
very
hopefully,
interesting things happening.
And hopefully we'll have some interviews for you this year at some point. We kind of slacked last year, so we're going to try to get back into the swing of things. Hopefully, with everything that's happening to these voice actors these days, hopefully we're not going to be running into a pay us or we're not doing anything wall, but that may end up happening too. So who knows? And I don't blame them, unfortunately, because these companies suck. So
yeah, somebody's going to pick up the slack for them.
So yeah,
but we're not made of money.
No, certainly not. I mean, I'm making more money, but hey.
Did I hear something about a One Piece mug?
Shut the fuck up! I swear to God.
I'm kidding, dude.
And with that, thank you guys for listening to this week's podcast. Thank you for listening as long as you've been listening, whether this is your first episode or you've been listening all the way since episode 1. Again, we do this for you, and we do it for the love of Toonami. So please do let us know what you think. Please keep listening, and just let us know how we are. But that's it for this week's Toonami Faithful Podcast. Peace. We're out.
In brightest day, in blackest night, no shitty DC movie will escape my sight. Let those who worship Edgelord's might beware the power of the DC animated universe's light.
Hey, will you get me a jetpack out here?
On the way.
What happened?
No idea. Hey, you know where it is?
Yes, it's still on 49, but it's kind of on 48 and 50.
What?
It's growing.
Okay.
It keeps eating the Clydes.
Okay. Man, could have been handled better. This is the weirdest day. What does this thing want?
Tough to say. It ate through the hull quite easily. Maybe it's just hungry. It's formless.
How did I get blasted?
Carelessness.
Thanks. Now what do we do?
It's moving.
Where?
Heading down the ship's skeleton towards the starboard engine.
Sweet. Has it left the room on 49?
Affirmative.
I'm going down there.
I'm charging your blaster. Come on.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's,
It's eating through the ship, almost to the starboard engine. We need to stop it now.
Okay. I'm on my way.